Welcome back, patrons and friends. I'm glad to have you joining me again here for another video. I'm sorry that this March video is late in getting to you. Just been a bit of a chaotic time. I've had a bunch of teeth issues that I've been dealing with. Today is no exception. I've got this massive headache on this side of my head. Anyways, I don't want to bore you with my medical issues, but man, it's been a rough road. But I wanted to get this out to you today, and so here I am recording this for you. This, of course, is, well, maybe you don't know. This is a painting of Spook, who's a character from the Mistborn series. His proper name is Lestibournes. Anyways, a very cool character, very interesting. He's kind of got a duality to him, which is why in this portrait I kind of created these two aspects to the portrait. I thought that Asa Butterfield, I'm not sure how you properly say his name, would be a perfect casting for this character. Maybe not now because he's probably getting older, but I don't know, a younger Asa Butterfield is like just fits in that pocket for me in terms of what I imagine Spook looking like and sort of his mannerisms and stuff. So you can see, early on in the process here, you saw me doing the draw over of my subject matter, and as you know, I kind of shortcut the drawing process for these portraits because I'm focusing mainly on creating the color, tone, and aspects of volume in relationship to the forms through painting, and so that's my focus. So I just want to shortcut the drawing process so I can get straight down to building out the layers and stuff here. So you can see these paintings are very much a similar process. I'm getting very comfortable now with my process around the portrait work. It's all just very like going, as I've talked about before, from general to specific. In this case, it was kind of interesting because I'm painting two sides to his face with two different things going on. On the left side of his face, the right side of the screen, you can see this eye patch thing going on. There's a part in the book where he's wearing glasses with a cloth wrapped around it and tied in the back, and there's a reason for that. I don't want to spoil it for you. He's a really interesting character. If you ever read the books, I'd love to hear what you think, or if you have read the books, please comment in the either if you're watching this on YouTube or if you watch this on my Patreon page. Please send me a comment. I'd love to know what you think about Spook. He's one of my favorite characters in the Mistborn series. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this piece in terms of color. So like the sort of duality of color there too, with the cools and the warms, and really wanted to just kind of depict this sort of tormented expression. And this kind of like, I don't know, I just loved the pose and what was going on with the photo, and then being able to kind of adapt it to my needs for the story that I wanted to tell with the piece was kind of worked out really well, I think. And it's been fun lately on my Instagram and my social media. I've been doing this run of posts where I'm showing my reference images versus my finished art. And I think people have responded well to them. It's been kind of fun for me too, just to see and kind of reflect on what the amount of work that goes into getting from a reference photo to a finished piece. They're quite different from each other. Even though my stuff is quite representational, there's a lot of nuance to color and costuming and choices with the backgrounds and the abstract aspects that I'm adding in there in the background, and different things that really pushes the art to become what it is. And I hope that people can see that in the work as I'm going through that and showing the comparison of the two on social media. So yeah, I hope that you've been enjoying that. If you've been following me on Instagram, I'd love to know what you think about that. And then just kind of getting down to this piece here again, coming back to the painting. One of the things that I loved about working on this piece was that the reference photo was really strong in terms of its lighting and stuff. It's a professionally taken photo, so there's definitely some nice nuance to the tones and stuff that I could pull into his face. He has kind of an interesting face. It's kind of soft and rounded. There's not a lot of hard edges to it. So getting that I guess the nuances of the tonal shifts in there was really interesting in the process of doing this piece. And even just the aspect of like on his left side there where his skin is stretched. Skin is a very interesting animal. It's an interesting thing to try to depict. And I don't know what it was about that component of this piece, but it was very fascinating for me to try to work with that and get it to feel like it was believable and like it was actually his skin that was stretching. So I enjoyed that, and I think it came off well. I would like to know what you think, but I think it came off well. I think it works. And I don't know if I won't go into spoilers crazy heavily for the Mistborn books, because I really don't. It's one of my favorite book series. I don't want to spoil it for people. But the coloration that I've gone with, the blues and the yellows, were fun too for me, just from a story perspective. Telling a story with a portrait, and there's an aspect of kind of like sort of depression or a quietness to him in early parts of the books, which kind of is reflected in the blue. And then there's this sort of like, I don't know, fiery aggression and literal sort of fiery aspects to what's going on in his life that I kind of wanted to bring in those yellows and just kind of create that duality of color, which is representational of the duality of his journey as a character. And so I enjoy, with my portraits, I enjoy trying to tell a story. It's a challenge sometimes to do that, but it's always something that I'm looking for, because I feel like even in a simple portrait, I mean, a simple like as in the content is quite simple. It's one figure. I do believe there is opportunity to have a story in one image. And one of my I guess art parents, as I've been calling them, is as Greg Manches. He actually teaches a workshop where he talks all about specifically that, about using portrait as story. And they recently opened a class that I could have attended digitally, like virtually, but it's just too expensive for me right now. But it's something that I would love to do, is take a class with one of those masters and learn from them sort of what their techniques and approaches are to that aspect of portraiture, is like story. And Greg Manches, if you followed his work, is a master storyteller in general. I have his book here, which I kind of keep close at hand. Just really masterful, beautiful paintings, but just really solid storytelling as well. So I've been trying to learn from him and other artists that I admire, just studying their work and trying to grow. So I guess you can see in the painting I'm getting kind of close to the finish line on this. The hands are difficult to draw and paint. There's so many nuances to a person's hand, and there's a lot of stuff going on in there in terms of tendons, muscles, vascular, veins and stuff. So you get a lot of nuances and coloration and surface form. And so in this painting, I kept them a little bit more generalized because, of course, the primary focus is his face, and he's got a really intense gaze there. So I wanted to sort of like focus in on that. I didn't put too much emphasis on getting those hands like hyper realistic. Just kind of trying to focus in. I think that because of the nature of the photograph, the viewer probably zones in on his eye because of the direct gaze. And then I'm hoping that because of that direct gaze and then that contrast with that covered eye, we get this really intrigue for the viewer. And so that was one of my goals, was just kind of like to create almost that contrast and dichotomy there, so that the viewer would be kind of curious as to what's going on. So, and then of course you can see my customary sort of like playing around with the abstract elements of the background and overlaying the portrait itself. I've been exploring that. I think I kind of want to do a little more work in that it's more like those aspects of these portraits is more like playing for me. I'm just playing around and trying to bring in some of those design tendencies that I have to try to move the try to move the viewer's eye around. So yeah, that's those are the aspects of this painting. I hope that you enjoyed watching the process, and I hope that you'll just keep tracking with me. Join me on Instagram, and please comment here on Patreon if you have any thoughts about this portrait or thoughts about Mistborn. Love talking with people about books. So until next time, I'm going to keep focusing on getting, I've got a couple commissions that I'm working through, and then I've also got a number of portraits that I want to do when I get time. I've just got underneath some work right now, so I got to get through those before I can get back to my own stuff. So thanks very much, everybody. Thank you so much for your support here on Patreon, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.